Yo, this is Steve Bloom, and you're watching Moana Nui Podcast. We'll be starting soon. Don't go anywhere.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
Hello, on behalf of the Moana Nui Podcast, Rob Fitz, once again, thank you for being part of DragonCon. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
For my first question, with 17 years of experience in makeup and FX art, what was your favorite movie or series to work on, and the biggest tool that you found to be essential in your work?
All right, well, so I think because maybe not everything is updated, I've actually been doing makeup for films for about 25 years.
Oh, wow.
Over 25 years. The first big movie I did was the original Jumanji.
Yes.
I worked on Jumanji. And then as I progressed, I would do makeup on various films in a smaller capacity, like, you know, doing background people and different things. But I did very well, and I got very far doing makeup on these various movies. And anything in Boston. So as soon as I know that Atlanta has tax incentives, Massachusetts had them before. They're not as good, but they still are there, and a lot of movies decided to shoot in the Boston area where I'm from because of these tax incentives. And so, like, at one point, like 2006, 2007, and it was an explosion of work on various films. So I worked on tons of stuff. Things like Mall Cop. I worked on The Surrogates, the Bruce Willis movie. That one I actually got to do a lot of really cool effects on. And I got to meet some good friends who are like some of the best in the world as far as makeup goes. I met a makeup artist by the name of Jeff Dawn, who brought me on to the film. Howard Berger from K&B Effects. He, you know, has hired me on many occasions, and also Tammy Lane, who works with Howard. And like all these people were like, they saw that I really was, I had the ability to do these things, but I also was very enthusiastic. So I ended up doing very well with them and with other films. So as far as one of my favorite film experiences, throughout the years I've done a lot of different things, but most of the time I would be doing like the real grunt work, which is like you go and you do all these extras and then you watch them on set and then you do this. Not a lot of principal people. But more recently I have been able to be a little more, you know, picky on the jobs I take. I don't really just take anything, because I have a magic shop that I bought, and I mainly do that now. But I got to work last year on two big projects that were really cool. One was American Horror Story Season 10, and I got to work on one of my favorite things, and you really got to see some cool stuff. It was Dexter New Blood. I worked on that. And it was myself and two other makeup artists doing all these, I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, but if you haven't seen it, but there's all these dead bodies in boxes, these women that are like kind of preserved, and we did all that. And they came out great, and the showrunners came up to us and thanked us. And I'm some kid from New Hampshire, you know, and I'm like, you know, the guy who wrote Dexter is like, thank you so much for coming and helping us out. I'm like, thanks, okay, yeah, no problem, all right. You know, so that was a really good experience, and that was very, I don't know, just satisfying, you know,
Nice.
to do all that.
So, what do you find is your biggest tool is essential to your work?
The makeup kit obviously has a bunch of different tools, but I think the most important thing, besides the materials you use and the knowledge of materials, is your ethic. You know, you have to work as a professional. You have to have professional ethics as far as like handling, doing that kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta show up on time, 100%. You should show up 10 minutes before or more. Be ready. Have everything you need. You're gonna find, the film business is full of quirky, kooky characters. Some people are gonna fly off the rails and do whatever. Don't react to that. Have a nice solid, be grounded, have a solid base so you don't react to those things, and be able to handle surprises, because something's gonna happen. Something doesn't get communicated, and you have to adapt, and you have to be able to adapt. And the best way to do that is to be, ready for most things. And so that's, I think it'd be your ethics is probably the most important. Yeah.
I love it. My family comes from the, 10 to 15 minutes early. To be there is considered to be on time. If you're there exactly at the time you're supposed to be there, you're late. And if you are past that, then you're really late.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and as a result, very rarely, unless something happened, have I ever been late for a job.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just one of those things that, I can't encourage people enough to have that, as part of their background, part of what they, how they approach doing this kind of work. Because, with these movies, with working on films, time is money. And if you miss an hour because of you, that's thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And they do not like that at all.
Exactly.
I can tell you that for sure.
Yes. So, what is your favorite type of FX makeup you like to do?
Well, me, and it's a guilty pleasure. It's also, it's very satisfying, but it's kind of like, in general, it's almost like the easiest thing to do. I do it pretty good too, and I would say is gore makeup, like blood and gore and wounds and horrible, trauma, right? And it's just because for the visceral, feeling I get when someone reacts to it,
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was in film school, I was learning to make films and also doing gore effects. And this is a great example because I made this little short film where it was supposed to be a love story. And I decided, all right, well, I'm going to do a love story, and it's going to be completely messed up, right? So the love story was me peeling my girlfriend's face off and kissing her eye socket, right? And it was so nasty. But when I showed it, the audience went nuts. They were like, "Oh my God, what is wrong with you?" And they started freaking out. But that reaction was just like me, and I'm just sitting there smiling yeah, I got him, A cheap thrill, yeah, but it is my favorite. I can tell you that, I love doing that kind of thing, freaking people out, scaring people, and grossing them out, really.
Nice. So, what is essential in applying natural makeup for actors on film?
Natural makeup. So if you're doing just a kind of like corrective makeup. Essentially, you have to look at them and decide what you absolutely need and try not to do much more of that. There's nothing better than your face, right? Like, there's nothing more natural. But there's aspects of it that are going to need to be fixed because of your outward elements, like lighting and like the environment and everything else. Say it's really hot and sweaty. You don't want people to look all shiny and crazy. So you need to have things like anti-shine. You need, I have these concealer palettes, and doing a light concealer on like little red spots or little brown spots that don't really work for what you're trying to do is very important. And factoring that in, also communicating to the actor and when you're talking to the actor, making them comfortable with you is very important. So that's an aspect of it that people don't really talk about as much. It's almost like having a bedside manner, making them comfortable, making them like their makeup not a factor in their performance necessarily. It's only an enhancement, So I would say that those are the most important things. And I would say, like, don't overdo it. A lot of times people overdo it. You make those jokes about the orange people and like that. Back in the day, it's because they were hammering them with lights, right? But now, like your camera is 70D, Canon. That's high def, right? And you see every little detail already. So you're just using natural light for this. And you don't really need a lot of, extra. So you have to be, because it's, if you start doing too much, you're going to see it, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, for our last question, you have recently started, I wouldn't say recently, but you have gotten into directing, starting with your first independent film. Now you are directing an array of projects, including music videos. Which project have you enjoyed the most and why?
Well, my first film, God of Vampires, was a labor of love, and I would 100% call that my favorite project I've ever done. I was kind of starting to direct back when I started directing the first Dragon Con that I came to. I was doing that at the time, and they invited me down to talk about it, like while we were still getting it together back in 2000. So this is my 21st Dragon Con. I missed the last two. But God of Vampires was this labor of love that we, did what we begged, borrowed, and stole to make this movie. We shot it on 16mm film. We shot it in abandoned buildings. And we eventually, it took us like, all in all, with all the things we had to do, from writing to shooting to editing, it took us 10 years to make this movie. When we finally made it, we put it out there, and our distribution wasn't perfect, but it did get out there. And we did win awards at various film festivals. The interesting thing about God of Vampires is I have a company called Cauldron Films that has approached me to remaster the whole negative and the sound and to release it on 4K and Blu-ray. That's going to happen probably in about a year. They just started the process. So God of Vampires will be re-released, and I think what's great about that is our first release, it got around, but we didn't make much. We didn't make anything really, and not really any money or anything. But we did get it out there, and I think that the distributor didn't handle it very well. But this is our second chance. Vampires rising from the grave again. They'll always come back, right? So that's really cool. I love that. And as far as a career goes, I started that so long ago and worked on various movies over the course of my career. Makeup and special effects has always been like the easy thing for me to do. Like I would go and do that, and then, you know, out of the blue, everyone would ask me to do that. I could easily get further in my career in that. Making a movie, though, it's the hardest thing in the world. And because no one cares until they see something, and everyone is like trying to do their own thing, so they don't want you around, you know, whatever. It's like weird, you know, but they do eventually, you know, the coolest thing about it is eventually people do see it. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. My girlfriend, she's in Texas, and she told me that her sister-in-law's sister said, "Oh, hey, I saw this movie, God of Vampires." And he's like, "Oh, you like it?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm a huge fan of this movie." And she was like, "Yeah, my sister-in-law's that's my sister-in-law's boyfriend directed that." She told me that story. I'm like, "What?" Like, wow, like you just never know. Like, you know, if I can encourage filmmakers to continue, even as hard as it is to do, it does reach people. You know, it does get out there. Just finish it. You know, get it done and get it out there, and, you know, somewhere down the line. It doesn't matter what level your production is or how crappy you might think it is or other people think it is. It will get to someone, and it will be, you know, it could be fun for them, and you know, in some aspects. I mean, there's so many different things. There's so many things that get out there, you know. Why not? Why not you make your own, you know, and get it out there? So I'm always a big encourager of people, you know, getting into independent cinema and doing their thing.
Awesome. Now we're getting at the end of our time. Can you tell any of our viewers how they can follow you and keep up with your projects or anything you have coming up?
Well, probably the best way is Instagram, I think, now. And in the last 6 years, I've owned a magic shop in Salem, Massachusetts. And because most of my efforts are focused on that at the moment, especially because October is coming, it's best to go on that Instagram and contact me through there, or follow what's going on there. It's The Magic Parlor on Instagram.
Awesome.
The Magic Parlor, and if there's a question of which one it is, there's like a little storefront in the picture, and it has like green and orange, you know, and you can, yeah, that's the one, the Magic Parlor. Follow me there, and hopefully, you know, I'll get to meet you one day and come into my store, because I actually, unlike, you know, people who own businesses, I'm one of the guys who's actually behind the register. Like, I don't mess around. I'm like the guy behind the register on most days. I take a couple days off, but, you know, either that or my nephew.
Okay, very nice. So everyone definitely follow his Instagram, and if you're in the area, definitely stop by his store. So thank you again for your time, and thank you for being here at DragonCon 2022.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
You need major life realignment. Okay. Starting with Baby Super Freak here. That is freaky.
Yes, you are a tiny god.
So, can you both tell me both of your names?
I am Dr. Facilier.
I'm Princess Tiana.
Your friendly neighborhood hoodoo man.
Okay, and is this you both's first Dragon Con?
Oh no, my dear. I've been coming here for years.
Oh, okay, so this you guys' first time cosplaying?
Oh no. Last year I cosplayed as a friend of mine. His name is Jafar. It was wonderful.
Oh, Jafar, and how about you?
I was Princess Cassie.
Aww.
With the red one.
Oh, okay. And so since you guys are not new to Dragon Con and you're not new to cosplay, what advice would you give to someone and it's their first Dragon Con?
Hydrate. Drink your water, I say. Pick you a cosplay that's got pockets, comfortable shoes, and be ready to take all the pictures.
And how about you?
That's a hard question. I don't know. It's going to sound corny, but just have fun. And definitely cosplay.
Yes, perfect. And then what are 3 things that you both love about Dragon Con?
Oh man, so I watch a lot of anime, so I love seeing all the anime and manga characters and the little obscure characters that you remember from a show but think that nobody else remembers, and then they're right there and they're like, oh hey, it's you. And then just community, everybody's having such a good time, it's so friendly.
Nice, okay.
3. I like interacting with the little kids. That's always fun, like small children. And taking pictures. Huge fan of that. And I guess the parties.
Who doesn't love the party? It's still a little...
Yes, all right. Well, thank you both so much. You both look super fabulous.
Thank you.
And we hope you continue to have a great Dragon Con weekend.
Thank you.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of R.I.P.D. as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will. So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system. Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of R.I.P.D. as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.